Salutations, readers. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Nkechi, and this is my spring 2026 media wrap up. Thank you all for joining me. If you have decided to continue on supporting my channel here, as I've been basically on hiatus, but I'm trying to get back into doing YouTube things. However, I still am having trouble though trying to film my wrap ups, so I'm kind of still doing what I originally did with my winter wrap up, where I kind of just go, do the StreamYard, have a slideshow, because honestly, I consumed a lot of media during spring 2026. It's just a lot. And I don't mean just the books either. I mean, I was consuming movies, TV shows. It was a lot. So, in order to make it just easier for myself editing wise, we're just doing it this way. And who knows, maybe I'll just keep on doing it this way for the end of time or until I feel differently. Because this really is just the easiest way for me to do it. Also, if you hear anything in the background, Archibald over here, or Archie for short, is right there, right behind y'all, as he is chewing on a bone that's made out of frozen cheese. So if you hear any sounds or you hear anything like squeaking sounds or something lapping up, drinking of water, y'all know there's a dog here, okay? We're watching him again. So we're here. Anyways, I think that's it. That's all I have to give y'all right now. And let's just get right on to the slideshow. Media I have consumed in spring 2026. We got to start with the reading stats, of course. I'm also looking here in my reading journals. I could also consult with it as well as far as my thoughts on these books and things. Also, in my reading journal, I also did make note of the movies I was watching because I watched a lot in March. So this is going to be a long March portion. But right now we got to do reading stats. So first up for the reading stats, let's look at for March. I read 7 books in March, which is amount to 473 pages, 50.77 hours. As far as the format, it was a lot of audiobooks, although according to Storygraph here, though, one of them I counted digitally. But, oh yeah, actually I did. I did read, I think maybe 2 books. It might have been 2 books digitally. I forgot which 2 that was, though. That's fine. And let's see, my sources, mostly I borrowed from my library. I think I read 1 book that I owned and like a couple of arcs. Everything was fiction, medium paced. And the average rating was a 4.07. I think this is actually the best average rating in the past few months as well. I guess since I read so much in March, there was more opportunity for me to read some really good books. So that's really good. And as far as my buying and savings, I saved a lot through my library. I didn't really buy that many books, but there was definitely an uptick as far as my book purchasing because, of course, it was March. That's my birthday month. So I bought a lot of books. But thankfully, though, as far as the books I did buy, they were supporting independent bookstores because I had several books that I purchased from an independent bookstore, a couple books that I purchased through Libro FM, and then like 1 book I purchased on Pango. So that's pretty good. So yeah, and I borrowed a lot of like audiobooks, DVDs, and a couple physical books from my library as well. So yeah, March was a really good month, reading wise, book buying wise, and also library savings wise. So really, really solid month. Now the month of April is where we had to take a little bit of a dip here. Because this is where, after spring break, I'm getting through the throw of things for sure. We're trying to close up the semester, preparing for all these final projects, finals, really. And this is where I read the one of the least. I read 4 books, 69 pages, and 38.32 hours. I did not finish reading anything with my eyeballs, hence the very low page count. I did read one nonfiction, so that's really good. Half of the books that I read in April were borrowed from my library, and the other half were I owned. Even though, again, everything I finished reading in April were audiobooks. I do own a few audiobooks through Libro FM, so I was able to read through a couple of those, so that's really good. And my average rating is a 4.44, which is, actually, no, this is the highest rated. I think that's probably because of the fact, though, that I finally found a 5-star read. So I think that really boosted up my average rating for the month, which is good. I definitely I think I borrowed a little bit more from my library, more audiobooks for sure, a little bit more in physical books. And I bought only audiobooks in the month of April as well. And I got them all on sale through Libra FM because of the independent bookstore sale. So that made me be able to like get a lot of audiobooks, but also get them for cheap. So that's pretty good. And I still saved a lot for my library. So again, April was a pretty solid month. Definitely a decrease as far as the quantity, but clearly the quality went up. So I can't really complain, right? I mean, what is there really to complain about? Now for May, definitely a nosedive here as I've only read 3 books, 147 pages. As far as hours read as well, 31.78. And then the average rating is a 3.83. Definitely one of the lower average ratings so far this year. I did read another nonfiction book as well, which is still impressive to me that I managed to read a nonfiction book back-to-back months. I'm kind of hoping I can keep that kind of energy in like June, July, and August. We'll see. And let's see. Yeah, only finishing audiobooks. I did read more with my eyeballs, though, thanks to the fact that I was done with the semester in the first half of May. So with the second half of May, I finally was able to get way more eyeball reading time, which is great. Hoping to have that continue on through the summer. And as far as book buying, I did pre-order 2 books. So even though I definitely spent money on purchasing books in May, I did not purchase any books I could actually bring home in the month of May. The books I pre-ordered won't come until like the summer and early fall. So that's something for me to at least look forward to later on. And as far as the things I borrowed, I have borrowed 8 things from my library. Mostly audiobooks, few DVDs, and like 1 physical book. So still borrowed a lot from my library. Excuse me, sir. Can you take your thing away from here, please? No, take it. Take it. I don't know why he's giving me this thing right now. Oh my gosh. Sorry, y'all, but Archibald is trying to like, he has this frozen cheese and he was trying to eat it on this couch here. And I'm like, I need him to just take it away somewhere else. So sorry for the distraction. But regardless, though, even though these few months, there's pretty much a total of, 14 books. Yeah, I think the total amount of books I read in these past few months, 14 books, 687 pages, 120.87 hours, and my hours rating accumulated to 4.13 stars, which is still pretty good. One of the lowest rated books I read in the month, I think, was in the month of May. I think. And then, of course, my highest one was in the month of April, hence the higher average rating. Still pretty good stuff, though. I am pretty satisfied, though, with the quality of the books I read and the amount of books I read. Of course, I always wish to read more, but for the fact that I was in school, it's still impressive to me that I managed to read like 14 books. Really, there was like 12 as far as in the time that I was in school. When I was done with school, or was it really? Yeah, 14. 12. Yeah. When I was in school, it was really 12, and then I read like 2 books when I was done with the semester. So yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty good. Now let's quickly just get over the books that I just did not finish. If I remember correctly, I think there's only just 5 books I did not finish. I'm not gonna be really quick about these books because they're not. Most of them, I don't think I'm going to come back to, and maybe be 1, maybe 2 I might return to in the future. But that's a stretch there. So let's start with the first book I DNF'd. For She Is Wrath by Emily Varga. This is a young adult fantasy retelling / reimagining of the Count of Monte Cristo. I borrowed it from my library. I think I borrowed the physical and the audiobook, and I was just not in the mood for it. I don't think this is a story really for me. I think I would rather just read the original story instead of trying to read this retelling. Or maybe I'll try this book again once I read the original story, but trying to read this reimagining right now, I was just not in the mood for it. I was not in the headspace for some young adult fantasy. Same thing with An Enchantment of Radiance by Margaret Rogerson. I was not a fan of this one. I also just didn't like the audiobook narrator at all. And I don't also like the voice of the main character either. I don't remember much what happened with this one. I didn't get very far into it. I just didn't care for it, which is fine, you know. But I was kind of hopeful to at least try it out and give it more of a better shot. But yeah, I wasn't here for it at all. The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. This is a book that I did have to DNF. I had on pause for such a long time, but I just had to tell myself, like, okay, we got to DNF this book because we're just not in the mood to read it. Not to say that I won't come back to it. I still have it physically on my TBR right there. However, I don't see myself reading it in the near future right now, but I'm hopeful that maybe in a few weeks, maybe in a few months, I'll come back to it. We shall see. It's still up in the air. Disappoint Me by Nicola Dinninan. This one also is so ironic that it also disappointed me as far as the book itself. Because I don't know, I literally purchased a physical copy earlier this year, and I read Nicola Dinninan's debut novel called Bellies. It was actually one of the books I read in the past few months, so I'll get to tell you all about it. But Disappoint Me, I just wasn't really here for it, unfortunately. I was just mostly bored. It kind of sucked too, because I like the writing style, but I was really bored. And maybe that's just the point as well. I think the main character, Max, who is a trans woman, who's trying to basically have a douse of like heteronormativity, as like her friends are getting married, dating, having children, all that stuff. So I don't know, trying to date this guy who's fine with dating a trans woman, I guess. I don't know, maybe she's feeling just disappointed about it, or just some ennui. I don't know. I couldn't care for it like at all. And it's very disappointing, not gonna lie, because I really thought that I would really like this one, especially since I liked Bellies. But Disappoint Me was just not for me, which is very unfortunate. And then last but not least, we have Saturn Returning by Cam Narby. This one I got as an ALC from one of the binary imprints. I think it was Saf Lit. This one was definitely a no-go for me as well. The narrator was fine, but just not emotive enough through the narration. And also all the main characters, and there were 3, they blended in so easily in my brain. I could not tell you who was who, and I could not even care to tell who was who either, which did not help things like at all. But I just really could not care any less about these main characters, like at all. They all just sounded the exact same, and it sucks, but it is what it is. And yeah, these are all the 5 books I DNF'd in the past few months. Not a lot when you really think about it, but still enough. Still enough. Now let's get into the books that I read in March, which again, it was 7 books. Let's see here. I need to consult with my reading journal because it has been a while. Now let's start with the first book that I read in March, and that is Quiet Spells by Asa Akajanian. This is the sequel to Modern Divination. I actually did host some like these reading sprints will not end until I finish reading my career read kind of sprints with Quiet Spells. Check in the live tab of my YouTube channel to see those sprints if you want, or I can link in the video description down below if you're curious. But I did really enjoy this one. I think this was very comparable to Modern Divination, as it is a continuation, but also I think it's just the quality of the world building and the character building as well was very solid. And yeah, it translated really, really well. Let's see. Is there any critique I had? I mean, when it comes to a sequel in a series, especially that's the conclusion, I just want to make sure that it is a very consistent with the first book. So how I felt about book 1 is how I'm going to feel about book 2, and then so on and so forth. There's more books. And yeah, this one's just one of those books I like. You know, as a duology, it's a very strong duology. And as far as the book in of itself, I definitely had a better time with Quiet Spells since I already knew about Rory and Teddy and their relationship, or the relationship they're trying to build with each other. So that made things way easier for me as the reader. Instead of like with Modern Divination, I'm just trying to like understand what was going on. So with Quiet Spells, I was like, okay, I'm just here for the vibes of it all. So I enjoyed it more, but is it stronger than Modern Divination? I don't think so. I think it's just on par for the most part, maybe a little bit below, but I don't know. I just really like the fact, though, that Quiet Spells was more of Theodore Ingram's book, and then we have Modern Divination as more of Aurora Schwartz's book. So, yeah. if you really enjoyed Modern Divination, definitely check out the sequel. That's basically the bottom line of this book. And I rated it, what did I give this book? A solid 4 stars. Cool. Next up, Seasons of Glass and Iron. Short story collection by Amal Al-Multar. This is... Okay, apologies, yo. I had a bit of an interruption with the dog who was making some noise. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, Seasons of Glass and Iron. Mullah Motar. So, yes, this is a short story collection about Mullah Motar, the same author. Bro, stop it. I'm sorry. This guy is trying to make a mess with me right now. Just hold on, y'all. Okay, sorry. Apologies again. What was I saying? Yes. Short story collection, same author as The River Has Roots and co-author of This Is How You Lose a Time War. This is a very solid short story collection. I feel as though the quality of these short stories are very much on par. And not all of these are short stories. Most of them are, but there are some poems actually in here. And the poems are written in English and in Arabic. And I got the ALC as well, so I could actually hear the Arabic being spoken. And it was just really, really beautiful. I really love Amel Al-Multar's writing. It's so poetic and lyrical. And there's definitely a range as far as like the kind of fantasy. Some of it's more fairy tale like, some of it's just like we're in a secondary world, some of it's like we're in a real world with some fantasy elements, maybe magical realism. It's very speculative fiction. And it's just really, really well done. Let's see, what were my favorite ones? I think my favorite ones were The Seasons of Glass and Iron, which is the titular title of the short story collection, A Tale of Ash and Seven Birds, Car, which is a poem, The Truth About Owls, Anabasis, John Hollowback, and The Witch was actually part of The River Has Roots. That was one of the like get a taste of the short story collection kind of things. Definitely a really good short story. And then also for Religia or Some Lies About Flowers. Yeah, those were like the really strong ones. Those are the ones that I personally just loved. This is just a really good short story collection. I highly recommend it. I think I give this one 4.25 stars. Of course, with every single short story collection or anthology, there's just books or not books. There are short stories that really work for you, ones that did not. I definitely thought that there were some short stories in here that I think was a little bit like just not to my particular taste, but I do think the quality is pretty much the same. So if you've read The River Has Roots and you loved it, you definitely got to check out the short story collection. However, you read the River Has Roots and you didn't like it, I do not recommend checking out the short story collection because it's pretty much on par. So so basically if you read The River Has Roots, read the short story collection, and if you have not, you don't care for it, then don't bother. But yeah, still though, recommend 4.25 stars. Really, really enjoyed it. And then I read Hot Girls with Balls by Benedict Nguyen. This is a queer contemporary lit fic book. It's a satirical novel following trans women who are who play in a professional men's volleyball team. And this was a 2025 debut novel. Let's see. And yeah, it's featuring two Asian trans women. There's something about some sort of controversy because again, it's just like these trans women are playing in the men's volleyball because they don't want to bring in controversy and try and play in the women's volleyball team. So it's like, wow, let's just be in the men's. Let's see, we don't bring in controversy or any attention to ourselves. We just be with the men and we just go with our biological sex or whatnot. And really, if you just know it doesn't mean anything. There's still coming controversy regarding these two Asian trans women. It's a lot. So there's transphobia, there's racism. It's the intersectionality between the two. I like the idea of this novel, but I wasn't really here for it. And I'm still having a hard time reading satirical novels. The thing with me in satirical media, I'm just like, I get it, but also I need a little bit more from it. I don't know what more I need from it, but sometimes I'm just like, the satire is not really hitting it for me sometimes. And I think the satire in this one is fine, but it could just been better. And there's so much like social media aspects to it as well. There's a lot of excerpts of social media posts and text messages, and And I just didn't really like hearing it because I also read this as an audiobook as well. And I was just not here for it like at all. Which is really unfortunate though, because I think the novel itself is fine. I think I gave this one a solid 3 stars. Which, like, hey, not bad, but also though, I wish it was just better. Like, I don't know. It's a solid enough debut novel that if this author wrote like another book in the future, I wouldn't mind at least checking it out. But this is not really a glowing review. Like, I don't know if I can glowingly recommend it. But if you're someone who is a fan of reading satirical media or like satirical novels, you can at least check this one out. I think it's worth a read. It's just that it didn't work for me, which is unfortunate. I really wanted it to work for me. And then I read A Long and Speaking Silence by Nevo. This is the 7th installment in the Sing and Hail cycle. This one was a bit of a tough one to read, not because of the content matter, but because of my attention span with this one. This one pretty much acts as like a prequel because this takes place very early in Claire Chi's journey, as actually they were a novice, and it does deal with a lot regarding immigration. And I love on how these Seek and Hell cycle novellas are very much tied into what's going on and what we're dealing with right now. However, I don't particularly like the fact that this was acting basically like a prequel. I just thought it was just way more slower and it was way harder for Claire Chi to get stories from these immigrants as well. Immigrants and refugees, and it's really hard for them to do it. As you know, again, they're so early in their journey. They're so early in trying to like extract stories from people, and it was just made the novella feel very, very slow. So it did make me lose my attention for a while, but I still think this is a still solid installment. It's just one of my least favorites. So I give this one like a solid 4-star, and I still recommend reading this one, but since these are interconnected standalone novellas, I don't know. This is a novella I would say for sure start with this one first. Because I still believe the very first installment in the series, The Empress of Salt and Fortune, is the best introduction to really start with this series. Even though, again, they're all interconnected standalones. You can start with any of them. But this is the 7th one I read. I do think this is a little bit on the weaker side, personally. But it's still solid enough. But it's a weak installment to me personally. 4 stars, which is still really good. And that tells you how much I respect what Nevo is doing with this series. However, I do know that she can just do better. You know what I mean? Like, she really can. I've seen her done before, and she can clearly do it again. And I'm looking forward to when the next installment in this series is. All right. Now, I somehow managed to read like 3 books in the same series. And if you have been following along since my winter wrap up, you already know what this series is, as I continue on to read every single installment, and I'm almost caught up with this series. Almost. I think I'll be officially caught up if I can read that last installment, the most recent installment in the summer. But it is indeed The Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon, and I read volumes 5, 6, and 7. I'm going to combine my thoughts on all 3 of these installments, as these were pretty much very strong installments to me. I think the last time I talked to y'all about Emma M. Lyon, her journals, I was disappointed with volume 4. I thought volume 4 was the weakest installment. But volumes 5, 6, and 7 really brought in the A game. Like, Brett Brower was like, okay, Emma M. Lyon has now dealt with finally burying this her childhood friend of hers and dealing with that grief, and her connection with like these 3 other men as well, like really helping her, supporting her as well. That starts to blossom. Of course, a lot of shenanigans, the St. Crispians, because of course there is. I mean, how else is there like a Emma M. Lyon journal without shenanigans, right? And it's also really fascinating to me seeing how Emma is building her close bond with these 3 other men as well. One of them she is definitely starting to become romantically involved with. I won't tell you who it is, but she is becoming romantically involved with one of them. And then the other 2, she's just learning more about them. She's actually learning more about all 3 of them in their own ways. But I am waiting for more information from these men because they are definitely a little bit more secret. It's more, you know, they got some secrets, and I'm like, yeah, well, we need these secrets to start coming out because it's about time that these start coming out. But I really loved Volume 5 though. It was one of my favorites. I don't think it's the one I rated the highest. Let me double check. Actually, no, it's not that one I rated the highest. It was Volume 7 that I rated the highest. I rated Volume 5 4.5. I rated Volume 6 4.25, and then I rated Volume 7 4.5 as well. But it's a higher 4.5 than Volume 5. I just really, really, really liked Volume 7, and that's why I'm like, I'm so excited to read Volume 8, but I'm also very hesitant to read Volume 8 because it's the only volume that's out that I have not read. Volume 9 is still on its way, but like I don't know when that's coming out. So I'm kind of like dragging my feet into reading Volume 8 because I'm like, oh shoot, if I read Volume 8, that's it. Then I'm like actually like caught up in this series. And I'm gonna be really sad. But I really love this series, y'all. It's very cozy to me. I feel like it's low stakes in the sense that it's not like life and death situations going on, but it feels higher stakes to me because I'm so invested in the lives of Emma and Pierce, Islington, and what was this? Hawks, young Hawks. I was trying to remember all the names. And also Agnes, her maid, also what Archibald Flash, which is her older cousin, is doing his shenanigans. Oh my gosh. Not the same Archibald as an Archie over here who is chewing on his frozen block of cheese right now, but the different Archibald. So yes. But yeah, this is a really good series. I do look forward to continue on with this series. I also do think I will reread this series as well because I did purchase the audiobooks for volumes 1 through 5. I don't have the audiobooks for 6 through 8 yet, but when I do, trust believe it's gonna be I'm gonna do a marathon of this entire series, and I do hope to do a series review for volumes 1 through 8 as well, because I do think more people should read this. I think it has gone some more popularity, especially with the audiobooks that came out in the past couple of years. But I want even more people to be reading this series. It's just really, really good. It's really, really fun. Like if you're a fan of like Anne of Green Gables, like any L.L. Montgomery books, Jane Austen's novels, I think this is a solid series for you to read. It definitely gives us that vibe, but of course written for like a more modern reader and stuff, but still like in the timeline of the historical aspects. You know, it's not such modern language in historical setting. Just to be clear about that. So I know some people don't like that, but it's not like that. And also, I just really like how witty Emma Lyon is. And it's just really nice. I don't know. I just really like this series. So I really love every single one of these installments. And I'm looking forward to reading volume 8, even though I still have to hesitate on that one because, again, we don't have any more volumes. We just don't. And I continue to be really, really, really sad. Anyways, I think that's it for March. Yeah, now we get into the 8 books that I read in April. Now, I do want to preface a little bit about April is that in the month of April, I was participating in the Magical Readathon, the spring equinox. And I did struggle my time with this one as well. I think my calling was Tonebinder. Yeah. I did manage, though, to complete my calling for the semester, but trust and believe, y'all, it was hard. It was very, very hard, but I still managed to do it, and honestly, I'm actually quite proud of myself for doing it. So, yeah, I just want to say that, like, right now, as I remember it in the top of my head. Anyways, I have this nice screenshot here of Archibald. What are you doing? Archie, just sit down right now. Please just sit down. Yeah, chew on your thing, but just sit down. Okay, put your booty down. You don't listen to me. So yes, as you can see here, if you do not know who this is Chris Broussard, as he is a Baltimore Raven fan, and you know, he's just like, I'm here in my high life, you know, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling great about my team. That's how I felt about the month of April. Even though I read less books in the month of April, it is still the highest rated month of the year. So that's what I'm feeling like. I'm like, you know what? And we didn't do a lot, but we still did great. So that's what we have here. It's just the vibe of the month of April, because that's just what it was, at least reading wise. So first up is my first 5-star read of the year, and that is The Eyes of Gaza, a Diary of Resilience by Palistia Alcad, and I read it as an audiobook. All right, apologies again, y'all. Archie is just doing a lot over there. So yes, first 5-star of the year. I usually don't rate my nonfiction, but I decided that this year, as I'm returning to school, I might as well just start rating nonfiction. I just felt like it. Okay. And I think that's what I'm going to do moving forward, because I think I read enough nonfiction that I can actually be confident in rating it now. And this is a really, really good memoir by Palistia Alakad. Okay. If you don't know who she is Palestinian. She born and raised in Gaza, and she was one of the journalists as well that was documenting the IWF aggression after October 7th, 2023. And she's been, this diary in particular had entries before October 7th and then after October 7th for sure. So I think for sure like the first 100 days after October 7th. Right now she does not live in Gaza anymore. She's now in exile, actually. I can't remember where she is now. I think, if I remember, she might have been in Egypt for a bit, because I think I remember correctly from the diary, she was in Egypt. But I don't think she lives in Egypt now. I think now she lives in Lebanon. So, definitely for sure. So, like, still close to Palestine and stuff, but still very much basically far away, unfortunately. Especially since the IOF now has been, and just the state of Israel is also attacking Lebanon as well, still attacking Lebanon right now. So that's also not very, that still brings a lot of anxiety for her as well. But a lot of this memoir is just her just trying to survive every single day, worried that she might be bombed, worried that she's going to lose friends, family, just seeing so much death, seeing so many Palestinians who are, and with a lot of grief, and how she's also grieving. She's also a journalist. She was wanted to be a journalist ever since she was a little girl, and just like getting these stories from these other Palestinians and how they're feeling, being actively genocided, especially just these aggressive bombing as well. It's just honestly really, truly a lot, like really. And she also briefly talked about the fact that how she's even writing this memoir in English. Like, this is not a memoir that was originally written in Arabic, which is her first language, and then translated to English to be part of a memoir. It was originally written in English. And I think I wrote something in here, actually. I actually made a note of it in my reading journal about what she said. I don't have it in an exact quote, unfortunately, but I'm going to paraphrase it. That she said something about, like, she preferred to speak in English to escape her emotions. I mean, you cannot cry while reporting in Gaza. You just can't. And then she breaks down in tears when she's speaking in Arabic. And I really didn't realize, actually, when I see Palestinians in Gaza reporting what's happening, like, actively with the bombing, and then trying to find food to survive, and the raising of prices so they can get materials and food and all this stuff, and then how a lot of them are speaking in English. Now, there are I have seen some journalists or people who are, some just other Palestinians who are just reporting what's going on, who are speaking in Arabic. But the ones with who usually were wearing a vest are the ones reporting in English. And I think she's not the only one who feels this way. Is like speaking in English, reporting about what's happening in Gaza, what's happening to the Palestinian people in English makes it easier for them to say what's going on, because if they speak in their native tongue in Arabic, they won't be able to get the message across. But also, it feels somewhat pointless and somewhat hopeless, only somewhat, in the sense that you're reporting all this, you're trying to get all these stories, but then nothing is, like, they feel like not much is really happening. But you also know that it's important to do, like, it's important to inform the Western world of what's happening to the Palestinian people, especially since we're in an age where you can actually document an active genocide. So it's like there's responsibility to share these stories to the world, but also this is like, well, the West is responsible for the fact that Israel exists and why my people are being genocided. So, and also like the fact that it's still happening even now and it hasn't stopped. So it's like, it's just a weird feeling. I guess it's a weird dichotomy, I guess, to say. And it's just really, really real. It's really emotional. It's really raw. And yeah, it's just very personal. So if you have not checked out this memoir, I highly, highly recommend checking it out. And yeah, so yeah, this is a 5-star read. I loved it. I've been following Police Dialacad for a while, honestly. Followed her on social media and stuff. So it was really nice to be able to check out her memoir. And yeah, so if you've not checked it out, definitely check it out. I borrowed it via audio, and I really like how Policia Alacad also narrates her memoir as well. So highly recommend the audiobook if you have not done so already. Whew, I had a lot to say about that one, not gonna lie. I just need more people to read this memoir. Not enough people have read it. I know it's more recent. I think it came out sometime last year, but I need more people to read. Or is it this year? I forgot when this book came out. Still, regardless, more people need to read it. Oh yeah, another book that I also really enjoyed, Morbid Curiosities by S. Hati. This is the same author who wrote In the Sky Bled. I read this one as an audiobook. This is a young adult thriller. Young adult thriller. I didn't really make any notes, actually, unfortunately, in my reading journal about this book, so my brain is really blanking on the exact details, but I remember really enjoying it. I do recommend it as an audiobook because the narrator did a really good job with the narration. The main character, I don't quite remember her name. She can be somewhat unlikable, but I definitely sympathize with her, and I was just really curious to see where the story was going to go with her. And I really like the pacing. I think this is really well paced. It's pretty fast paced, but it's pretty well paced. So I don't think it's too fast. It's not so slow. I think also my toes as well, because I'm not usually one for thrillers, especially young adult thrillers. But when I find a thriller, though, I mean, it really works well for me. So the ones I read are good, at least for me, which is great. And yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much to really say about Morbid Curiosities, unfortunately. But it was one of those books that I've been anticipating to read that came out this year. And I was so glad I got a chance to read it pretty quickly. And yeah, I just want more people to check this one out if you have not done so already. Yes, and there's Bellies by Nicola Dinnan. This one, dual narration. I got it from Libro FM. This is adult queer lit fic book. This one, I think I rated it 3.75 stars. It was a solid debut novel from like a couple years ago, where we follow a white cis gay man, and then we had a Malaysian trans woman who, in the beginning of the story, you don't know that she is trans, but actually when you get the narration, I'm actually really grateful for this as well, that the narration, when we get to the other person's perspective, it is narrated by a trans woman. So even though in the narrative at that point in time, the main character doesn't realize that they're trans yet, it's very obvious that this person is definitely a trans person. So yeah, I really like this one as well, because this one really talks about intimacy, being intimate, being real, and being able to show your belly, show your vulnerabilities, your insecurities to someone. It's scary. It's also intimate, and sometimes people really mess up, and it gets really messy. And yeah, I really liked Bellies. I just really like this one. I like how it was narrated as well, and I'm really glad that I got a chance to own it and get it on sale from Libro FM. I think I got it around the Trans Rights Readathon. Yeah, something like that. It was on sale for the Trans Rights Readathon in late March. So I'm just really glad I got a chance to snag this audiobook. And I really recommend y'all checking it out as well. And then last but not least, I read A Gentleman's Gentleman by TJ Alexander. This is an adult queer historical romance that I also bought because of the Trans Rights Readathon sale available through Labor FM. This one I gave 4.5 stars. It was really well narrated. I really like the romance as well. We're dealing with an Earl who is identifies as a trans man, but has to disguise himself not for people to not know that he is trans. And he has to have a valet, and he also has to deal with, I think, getting married or something for in order to have his father's the inheritance that was owed from his father's death and stuff. So yeah, I really like this romance. I think it was handled really, really well. And I do look forward to reading more by TJ Alexander in the future as well. Definitely recommend A Gentleman's Gentleman if you have not done so already. And I do look forward to reading A Lady for All Seasons. I am waiting for the audiobook to be available through Libby because I really want to read that one. It's set in the same world as A Gentleman's Gentleman, so I'm like, can I get the audiobook because I've been wanting to read that one. All right, it's not a sequel, but it's kind of close to me. I won't quite call it a sequel because it's not, but it's kind of close. It's kind of close. And yeah, that's it for April. Well, that's all the books I read in April. Now May, I only read like 3 books. Well, I finished reading 3 books and then I started like other things. Let's see here. So let's start off with what's the first thing here. Oh yeah, I have Shizuku here. Yeah, from The Whisper of the Heart. Yeah, highly recommend this movie if you've not done so already. All right, first up is a disappointing read. Yes. Unfortunately, I did not enjoy This Wretched Beauty, a Dorian Gray remix by Al Grenier. This is part of the young adult remix the classic remix series with like Most Ardently. What was the other ones? I don't know. There's just these other ones. Okay, y'all know what I'm talking about. And this one. Look, I'm going to preface this by saying that I have not read The Picture of Dorian Gray. I've not read the original book at all. However, I do think that remixing The Picture of Dorian Gray with having Dorian Gray in this remix be genderqueer, I think is a really good idea. You're adding more. I mean, you're not even making queer subtext because honestly, the original story had queer subtext. But and then you just make it more blatantly queer here, which is good and all, but also I think it took away for like being a little bit more upfront as far as the actual toxic and abusive dynamics. There was a content warning provided in this one as well as far as like the amount of emotional abuse, but to me, I think the story would have been a little bit stronger if we just got more in your face about, I mean, not like in your face about the abuse itself, but more like just the toxicity of it all. Because the toxicity even of this particular relationship between Dorian Gray and I think someone else, not the painter, but for someone else, was just, I think, putting a little bit on the wayside. So I'm not getting that, and that way I don't feel like Dorian Gray feels more corrupted, especially after they see this painting of themselves. I just really wanted way more from this. I wanted so much more. And it just made me realize that I need to read the original story. Because this remix just was not it. And unfortunately, I bought it for my birthday because I was just so excited. I thought I was really going to enjoy it. But it just was not for me, like at all. And I'm really upset about it. Which is fine. You know, you live and learn. And I gave this one 3.25 stars. Again, you live and learn. And then I read Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead by Emily Austin. This is Emily Austin's debut novel from several years ago. Finally, it was actually a book that I read. It was for my spring to BR that I finally managed to actually read. So I'm happy about that. And I did enjoy this one. I think this is a solid debut novel from Emily Austin. It's just not my favorite one. This one deals with, what was her name? Gilda, who has an anxiety disorder, but she's also an atheist lesbian. And she somehow gets roped in to be a secretary for this Catholic church. And she's also trying to figure out how the receptionist with this receptionist job and how the previous receptionist who died previously and figure out if her death was like a murder or not. It was a whole thing. I already predicted what was going to happen regarding that whole murder is a murder or not. I already knew what it really was. It does have a lot of dark humor. It does also deal with death a lot. So, you know, fair warning on that. If any of y'all are in the midst of grieving, maybe this is just a book that you need to stay away from for now until you feel emotionally ready. But I did enjoy this one. It's just not my favorite. I still prefer We Could Be Rats more so, and also is this a cry for help as well, more so. But I am glad that I am getting through Emily Austin's backlist a little bit here. And I do look forward to, though, reading Interesting Facts About Space, because I feel like Interesting Facts About Space is a good book to like move to go to after reading Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead. But I did also really like the narrator as well. So if you're interested as well to read this via audio, I definitely recommend it. And it's just a solid 4-star read. Nothing more, nothing less. And the last and not least book that I have read in the month of May, and just for this wrap up, was Jane Austen's Bookshelf, a rare book collector's quest to find the women writers who shaped a legend by Rebecca Romney. And as the subtitle suggests, this is about a rare book collector named Rebecca Romney who wanted to find out about women writers who basically inspired and shaped Jane Austen's writing. The author is very much a fan of Jane Austen and her works. It does have a chapter that gives a biography as far as Jane Austen, her life, and the books that she's written, and all that stuff. That way, when you get to know about these women authors, you can see the connections between those women authors and their works versus Jane Austen's works as well. And I gotta say, I've definitely learned a lot about the kind of women authors during Jane Austen's time, like before her time, even during her time as well, that just influenced her. And I think it was just really cool, actually, to know that Jane Austen was actually not the first woman or British woman, because I'm really going to say just British woman writer to get into the British literary canon, because like I didn't give this book a full 5-star because I don't think this particular nonfiction was really, I mean, it's very specific as far as Jane Austen, but I don't think it also looked at the broader scheme and how the literary canon that she continues to refer to is really about the British literary canon, or even just British, but also somewhat even American, because a lot of the British classics we read for school are connected to Americans as well. Like a lot of American schools read British classics, so there's that. But like, it's not an all-encompassing literary canon, at least to me. It's just a British literary canon that, of course, since it's from Europe, the global north as well. I mean, the west, the north, it's just read almost everywhere. But I still say it's a British literary canon. Let's just be for real. Regardless, though, I just don't think it's very as like wide open reaching as I think it could have been, but I think it kind of makes sense again because this is very specific to Jane Austen herself and the connection. But I definitely learned a lot. So the 8 women authors that Romney investigates are Frances Burney, Anne Radcliffe, Charlotte Lennox, Hannah More, Charlotte Smith, Elizabeth Inchbald, Hester Lynch Throughout Piozzi, and Maria Edgeworth. Those were the 8 women authors. And this is not really an all-encompassing list as well. It's just the ones that Rebecca Romney just like ended up right there because, I mean, you can just continue on. There's most likely plenty of other women writers that also influenced Jane Austen's works, but we just stick with like 8 because I think it was just, we got enough, I think. And I think that it was really nice as well to get biographies for each of these women writers, how they grew up, what influenced their writing, how Jane Austen came across their writing, how the author herself, as a rare book collector, she was reading these women writers and their works as well, what she thought about these books. So it's a mixture, again, of a history, it's a biography, and yeah, it's also narrated by the author herself. So I just really, really recommend this one. It's just really, really solid. I give this one 4.25 stars. Yeah, it's just a really good, I feel really good when I read a nonfiction book because I'm just like, wow, it's actually opened my brain up to read even more different kind of books, especially in varying formats. I don't know, whenever I feel like I'm just stuck in a rut, I feel like reading a nonfiction really helps like open my brain up. So I really do appreciate being able to check out this nonfiction. And that's it for my reading wrap up. Now let's get into the movies. And I watched a lot of movies, so I'm just gonna go month by month, but I'm also trying to like speed run my way through this one as well because there's just a lot of movies to get through, especially in the month of March. So in March, one of the worst movies that I watched was Batman Ninja. That one was bad. I do not recommend it. It's supposed to be a mixture of just Batman and also anime, and it really sucks. My mom and I watched it, and we did not like it. We were so disappointed. It's just bad. It made no sense as well. Like, it made no logical sense even within the universe. It made I don't get it. I don't know what they were trying to do. I think they were trying to do something and it just failed epically. Then we have Ballerina or Leap, depending on where you are, but I'm going to say that's Ballerina. And like this one was fine. This was more of a rewatch, and I think it was just fine movie. Probably like a 2.5, 3 star. While Batman Ninja is like a 1.5 star kind of movie. So take it for what you will. And then Ice Age. This one's a rewatch, and this was just a lot more funnier, I guess, upon rewatch, but also a little bit more annoying because I found Sid to be annoying. But I think Manfred and Diego's relationship, like their friendship, though, I think the start of that bond was actually pretty strong, and it's the most interesting fact about Ice Age to me. At least this first movie. I mean, the sequels. I mean, let's actually not even talk about the sequels because the sequels tend to get worse. All right, now let's get into movies. Some international movies that I watched in the month of March. First up, we have The Secret World of Arrietty, which is a Studio Ghibli film. This is the first time I actually watched this film, and I thought it was fine. I don't think it's gonna stick with me like at all. I think it's a solid 3 star movie, but I don't really care for it. I think aesthetically it's nice, but as far as like the characters and stuff and the relationships, I don't really care for it. It didn't stick with me. Unfortunate though. Only Yesterday though, I really enjoyed Only Yesterday. Like this one actually was a really good movie. I think I give this one like a 4.5 star on Letterboxd. Very, very good. Highly recommend. Coming of age story. Really good. I love me a coming of age story from Studio Ghibli. And then we have Rafiki here, which is a Afro bubblegum pop or something like that. It's we're dealing with some Kenyan lesbians coming of age as well. This one's really, really good. I think I give this one 4 stars. I recommend checking it out if you have not done so already. Then Portrait of a Lady on Fire. This one is a French film. This one I also thought was really good. I think I give this one either a 3.75 or a 4 star. I just really like this one, honestly. This is also lesbian cinema as well, just more with older characters than Rafiki. But definitely one I recommend as well. And then The Wind That Shakes the Barley is an Irish film about the Irish Civil War, or the war of independence as well from Britain. So definitely recommend this one as well. It's definitely a dark one. It's a war kind of film as well. I actually watched it for the cinema club at my college. Yeah, it's a long one as well. So definitely take your time with The Wind That Shakes the Barley. But I did think it was a good film though. I still needed more historical context though, because I feel like there's some nuance that was missed here. I feel it's just a little bit too black and white a little bit, but I think it was fine. I think I give this one like a 3.5 or something like that. I don't know. As far as the slate of movies here, my favorites were for sure Only Yesterday, Rafiki, and Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Like, I recommend those 3 for sure. Arrietty and The Wind That Shakes the Barley. I mean, watch it at your own discretion. Now to continue on with March, I did rewatch Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. That one I just wanted to rewatch because I want to prepare myself to watch Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, which again, I do have a lot of mixed thoughts on Frankenstein. If you are planning on watching this film, do not come into it thinking that it's Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, because del Toro really takes some creative liberties with the Frankenstein story, which really rubbed people the wrong way, ruffled some feathers for sure when this was aired, and was put in theaters and recently put in pretty early on in Netflix as well. And I don't know, this is a film that I think if I just rewatch it a couple of times, I'm going to enjoy it and maybe appreciate it a little bit more. Especially if I just divorce it from how it's supposed to be, it's like supposed to be close to Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. If I just divorce it from that, I think as a film itself, it's fine. It's solid. I really love the costuming. I think the cinematography is also really, really well done. And I think the lead actors did a really good job. I just wasn't here for Mia Goth, though. Mia Goth's portrayal of Elizabeth was just not it for me, personally. But I think I give it one like 4 stars. I think my Pinocchio rewatch, I give 4.5. And then Wake Up Dead Man, which is a Knives Out mystery, which is the 3rd Knives Out movie. Love this one. It's actually not my favorite of the Knives Out films. I still think Knives Out, the very first one, is the best one, but Wake Up Dead Man is just my personal favorite now. And yeah, I mean, I think I talked about Wake Up Dead Man in my spring break vlog. Yes, and Frankenstein. I talked about both of these films in that vlog. So some of y'all already probably know my thoughts on both these movies, but for those who didn't know, I did enjoy Frankenstein. I just had to divorce it from the book itself. And then Wake Up Dead Man was just really, really good. So check out Wake Up Dead Man and Frankenstein. They're both on Netflix. So yeah. Now, April. I did not watch much in April. I literally took a nosedive as far as watching any movies in April. But I'm glad that I watched this one movie in particular. That is Flow, which actually won the Best Animated Feature Film award in 2020. Was it last year? Yeah, because this year was K-pop Demon Hunters. I think Flow was last year or 2 years ago. I don't remember. But Flow won Best Animated Feature Film, and I actually really got a chance to borrow it from my library because this one actually was really, really good. It is indeed it has no narration, like there's no dialogue at all. We're just dealing with animals making their own animal noises and stuff, which I think is really good. I like the fact that we have animal main characters that we're following that do not talk. I think that is something I just always appreciate in a film when animals do not talk. Case in point, Spirit, Stallion, and the Cimarron, except that, there is narration, but regardless. Flow, I think, is just really, really beautiful. It's also I think it's also weird, too, because it's really magical realism in the sense of, like, there's something magical that's going on, and it's always this biblical flood, and I'm just like, why is there a biblical flood? So this is actually a movie I definitely think I need to rewatch for sure in the future. But I just think that this was just a really, really good film. And I think I gave this one a 4.25 stars on Letterboxd. Definitely want to check out if you have not done so already. And I definitely need to rewatch it because this was just really, really good. I'm genuinely surprised on how much I actually really love this. And I definitely can see why it won the Best Animated Feature Film, even though I did want a different film to win it. But I think it's fair that it was Flow. Now for me, I did end up rewatching a couple of films in May. One of them is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2014. This is with the Michael Bay version. And it's just so fascinating to me rewatching this film. And just a spoiler as well, I did also rewatch the sequel, TMNT Out of the Shadows. Both of these films are really weird when you think of like the other versions, other iterations of TMNT. Like if you're familiar with the 87, because a lot of these films actually are inspired by the 87 version of, like, the original version, I guess, of these turtles. But it's such a departure, though, as far as, like, backstory regarding these turtles than, like, the 87 series. Now, granted, I've never seen the 87 series, but I've watched none of just TMNT reiterations. I've seen Rise of the TMNT, which is 2018. I've seen 2012. And of course I watch these movies, so I'm familiar enough with the lore of TMNT, just enough to get like different iterations. And this one's quite a departure from the iterations I'm used to. But I do find it like just kind of interesting seeing the turtles, I guess, in a live action form. But I will say though, Megan Fox playing as like April O'Neil was not the way to go. I think someone else should have been April O'Neil because too much of these films were just sexualizing her, especially in the first one. Like she just. Like, and also just Megan Fox was just not emotive enough for me as well facially. It's just, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's just direction or what, but it's just not it. Someone else should have been April O'Neil, so whatever. But as far as the Turtles, though, the guys who played as the Turtles, I think they have a really good chemistry. And I prefer their character work in Out of the Shadows than TMNT because I feel like that was just an April O'Neil movie with the Turtles there. Well, Out of the Shadows was definitely more of a turtle movie, and April was just there, so it's kind of a weird balance. And I think it's just so obvious to me as well that these movies were supposed to be a trilogy because something happened in Out of the Shadows that happened to like one of the main prolific antagonists that we don't get actual closure to what we're going to get from him. Even from one of the minor villains as well, we don't get much from him either. So I think this was supposed to have a third movie, but they just did not get the budget for. So whatever. It's probably for the best, honestly, because these movies are really not that good. I think the highest I would ever give these movies are like a 2-star, but really it's more like a 1.5 star for like the first one, and then like a generous 2-star for Out of the Shadows. But yeah, definitely a miss. And I'm kind of glad, not going to lie, that they did not extend this for more movies, even though I do think it was slated to have more. And as far as TV shows, I didn't really watch a lot of TV, but I will say, again, with Chris Broussard here, trying to show like, hey, my team's the GOAT, and I will say this show is the GOAT, and that is Abbott Elementary season 5. I finally caught up on the show. I watched every single episode. Now I just need to rewatch the whole season again, but I'm so glad I got a chance to like just catch up on the show. I love Abbott Elementary, y'all. If you have not checked this out, please check it out. It's available on Hulu/Disney Plus. You can also watch it on live TV on like ABC and stuff. And there is a season 6. So I'm hoping that we'll get season 6 later on this year, like in September or something, like, the start of the new school year. And I'm going to be so excited for it. This is just really, really good. Highly recommend. I'm here for all the shenanigans. I'm also here for like relationship drama and also here for the characters and their friendships. It's just a whole thing. I just love it. Truly, I love it. And yeah, that is it, y'all. That is all of my thoughts on the media that I have consumed in the month of May. Whew. Wow. Took me a while, but hey, if you made it this far, thank you for joining me and being here this long because, man, I had a lot to say and I'm trying to get through it. And of course, there are some doggy interruptions over there, but he's at least behaving himself over there because now his favorite person in the world now is in the room. So now he knows how to act himself. I'm like the second favorite here, but when the first person with his actual favorites here, he starts to chill out a little bit more, especially if he gets attention. But yeah, y'all, that's it. That's all I have for y'all. Thank you all again for watching this video. And if you like it, please like this video down below. Please like it. Comment down below also your thoughts as far as the media I consume. If you have read in these books, if you have watched any of these movies, you've been watching Abbott Elementary, just let me know your thoughts. And if you have not consumed the same media I have, let me know what you consumed in the past few months. What books did you read? What movies did you watch? What about TV shows? Just let me know. I would love to discuss with y'all in the comments down below. You're new here, you like my vibe, you want to see more content from me, I highly recommend subscribing as well. And you're not sure what to say, but you want to leave me an emoji, let me know you're here in the comments down below. Please leave me some sort of spring-related emoji. Of course, like plants, flowers, sun, stuff like that. As it's getting warmer, we also got some rain. Some of you want some rain emojis. Just pick whatever you want. However, though, highly recommend, though, that you just leave me a comment down below to, let me know that y'all engage with this video. Anyways, thank you again for watching this video, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye. Here we go again.